We're the Mario Brothers, and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. When your sink is in trouble, you could call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers.
All right, here we are for the Mario draft. If you listen to the last draft that we did on the bonus special that we had a few weeks back, we drafted the entire Zelda series. Today we're going to do the Super Mario series. We've got a list of Super Mario games. Let's call them mainline Mario games, including the Paper Mario and our Mario RPG games as well. No sports, no carts, no wackiness, except for Sunshine, which I think is garbage. But I got a great group of guests here who have all been on the show one way or another. So let me introduce everyone. We've got quite the list. Joining us today is Shareen back from season 2 or 3 you were on. I can't remember. What's up, Shareen?
I think it was 2. Hello.
Shareen, I was going to ask you what your favorite Mario game, but that might be giving it away. How big of a Mario fan are you?
I have a big draft strategy. Can't really spoil any of that, unfortunately.
Okay. Also joining us, recent guest, ninjembro. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going?
You excited to draft some Mario?
Yeah, similar to Shareen, I got my strategy down, and we're going to come out on top.
All right. The most recent guest on the show, Kaesden, his episode just came out, is also joining us. Back again, Kaesden, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Feeling good about your picks? What your pick's going to be?
I got a list set up of what I kind of want, and then we'll see how rigged this vote actually is.
All right. We'll see how it goes. Again, returning guest, also from JKLOL, Jesse, Radical Sniper 99. Welcome back, dude.
Yo, thanks for having me.
Feeling good? You got a good list like everyone else?
You said no weird stuff. I just realized I don't see Mario Paint.
Yeah, maybe Mario Paint should be on there. And then Alaszun. We've got Alaszun on the show who has not been officially on the show. It's coming. I swear it's coming. But he's been
always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
This is your third appearance.
I'm just the gag on the special episodes now.
You are. Third episode, no episode proper. It is coming this season. I promise. The Alaszun episode is coming. Alaszun, I'm always excited to have you on the show. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's a fucking crime that we don't have Super Mario Baseball on here, but whatever.
I mean, if we get into the sports, if we get into the parties, it's almost too much. We are going to change things up a little bit. We are going to have 4 rounds, and we are doing the snake draft. So this time, the first pick doesn't get completely shafted. So there is that. So we've got 6 of us. We're going to figure out the draft order right now. Does anybody want the first pick? I think I asked this last time, and I'm not sure how it goes. Does anyone want to go first? Nobody wants to go first.
I mean, I want to make sure I can get Tears of the Kingdom before anyone else gets it off the board this time.
Good idea.
And I got to be able to react off other players' picks.
For sure. All right, here we go. We're going to randomize the list and see who gets first. All right. Number 1. Ninjembro.
Again? I'm number 2 again?
Dude, it's random.org. You saw
I don't believe you.
There's a timestamp in everything.
It's just an edit of the old list. That's all it is.
All right. Second is Alaszun. Alaszun, you're going to be picking second again. Not first. So it is what it is. Next up, Kaesden in a prime spot. 3, I think, is a pretty good spot to be in. Do you agree with that?
I like it. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I think that works out. Looks like I'm number 4. I'll take that. Nice location right there in the middle. Followed up by Shareen. Shareen, how do you feel about that 5th pick?
I think with 5, there's still some of my top titles available, so I'm okay with it.
Okay. And then coming up in the rear, we've got Jesse. Jesse, do you like?
I mean, I guess I'll get 2 picks in a row, which is nice, but I'm worried about what those top 5 are going to be and what's left at 6, 7.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of games, so I'm not gonna list the entirety. We'll go through them. You guys can see them all.
Don't worry, buddy. I'm gonna draft Color Rush for you, so something's still there.
Go for it. But it's not you first. It's Ninjembro. You're up. Pick 1, round 1. What do you got?
So I actually did think ahead that if I had the number 1 overall pick, where I would go. And as we were talking about slightly before the show, but none of us actually revealed our list, but depending on who you asked, 3 to 5 obvious, quote, obvious choices for number 1. So with the number 1 overall pick, we're going with Mario Odyssey.
Here we go.
What?
Okay.
I love Mario Odyssey. I think it's the best game. I'm with you 100%. And I think other people might disagree about some of that reaction there.
Yeah, hear me out a little bit on this one. I don't think the game's perfect. However, it's incredibly well-rounded. It plays incredibly well. The game is gorgeous. The music's amazing. The levels are really fun. Sure, there might be a little bit like too much to do, like too much emptiness, and you just get moons for like doing nothing. But it is on the short list of games that like I'm legitimately upset that I cannot experience for the first time again. Which doesn't necessarily mean it's one of my favorite games of all time, because I feel like those lists can be mutually exclusive. But I wish I could experience it for the first time again, because I feel like playing it again won't have like the same kind of fun and mystery to it. Like I can go back and replay Super Mario 64 or like Mario Galaxy, and it's like really fun. But going back to Odyssey, like just wouldn't feel exactly the same, because the first time through it was just there was just something about like the world as you explored it. So yeah, first pick, Odyssey.
I just want you to know that I actually thought this through, and I'm really just stalling for time while I Google Kotaku best Mario game to inform my opinion here. But that was not even in my ones I thought could be the number 1 pick. So that kind of stunned me.
Any other thoughts about Mario Odyssey going to number 1 overall?
I mean, I look at those negatives. I'm kind of like, the negatives you listed as kind of reasons I wouldn't say it fits.
I love Odyssey, by the way. I think it's a great fucking game. It's so much fun, but come on.
Also, the reasoning behind this is like, it's going to be a while until my next pick. And obviously with number 1 overall pick, like you want to take the strongest that you can. And I could have taken a number of other games that, you
could have taken any game.
Literally any game.
This is one of the 4 games that I listed as likely to go first. And I think I know, I'm pretty sure like the other 3 games will go in the next 4. So let's see if Alaszun, Kaesden, Fear, and Shareen, if the 4 of you can pick 3 of the other games that I marked as potential first overall.
If anyone else was going first, would anyone else have taken Mario Odyssey?
Nope.
No.
It was in my mind that it would potentially go, and it would have been consideration, but I don't think I would have taken it first. But I definitely thought it was up there.
I think Mario Odyssey is probably the best Mario game that I haven't played yet. I think it's a strong game from what I've seen of it. I just don't know that it's a number 1 pick.
It's like my number 3 probably favorite, but I don't know. Even then, I still don't know if I'd take it number 1. All right, ninjembro coming hot out the gate. Alaszun is coming hot. I know that. What do you got for number 2?
This is about the coolest pick you can possibly imagine. Hold on. How do you spell Kotaku again? K-O... yeah, Super Mario World. Come on. Come on. I think there are games that are not Super Mario World you could argue for the number 1, but Odyssey ain't it, bud.
For what it's worth, Super Mario World was on my list as
I know it was on
likely
your list.
to be number 1.
I know it was on your list. There's no chance that wasn't on your list.
But I wouldn't draft it first round personally.
I mean, it's one of those games that has just endured so much in terms of what it's given, and unlike I think a lot of other of the high profile games, it's aged exceedingly well.
Yeah,
the controls still feel tight. Like the gameplay is still really fun. There's lots of things to discover. There's lots of secret levels and stuff to plumb. Like it's just really good. And there are other games that I would not have raised an eyebrow at drafting, but I think when you go for and say, hey, what's the best, most well-rounded Mario game? By the way, it's a crime I couldn't draft All Stars because I mean that would be cheating, but also
yeah.
Yeah, it's just really good.
It's one of the best. Any other thoughts about Super Mario World?
It's a classic.
It's a good pick. Yeah. I like it. I don't know what else there is to say.
Yeah, I mean there was consideration there.
Yeah, I would say it's I think number 2 is a great spot for it. I'll just say that. Kaesden, third pick.
Oh, third pick. The Mario World Gone. I won't lie. That was probably going to be my number 1 if I could have somehow got it, but I was not expecting to. I think I'm going to have to go with Mario 64.
Strong one. Why'd you take Mario 64?
I think it's next in line as like a perfectly done Mario game. It's kind of on the same level as Super Mario World, but it's in the 3D genre. It's kind of what kicked off all the other 3D Mario games, and it, considering they had no reference point to work off of for what a 3D Mario should look like, then like they knocked it out of the park. It holds up. It's a good game.
I think the level design of Mario 64 has yet to be matched as far as 3D games go. I think it's got the best set of levels in the entire game.
Yeah, the levels are good. The gameplay is solid. I think the biggest drawback is the camera controls don't really hold up.
Yeah.
But what N64 camera controls do, and other than that one drawback, I think it's just about as well done as it could be.
You were going to say something, Jesse?
I mean, compared to the generation, though, like I should talk shit about Kaesden's pick, but even that camera back then was still miles ahead of anybody.
Yeah, and
like
the
idea of having the Lakitu being your camera and just how that worked was. There are games today that don't even get 3D cameras right. That are worse than that.
Realistically, the biggest problem with the camera in Mario 64 comes more from the controller than from the game itself. Just by not having dual analog.
Yeah.
Like if it had dual analog, I think they would have got it right on the first try. So
yeah, I think Super Mario 64 is definitely one of the best. I do feel like because of the controls, because of being on the 64, kind of similar to the Ocarina of Time thing, I think that some of it just hasn't aged as well. Whereas like with Super Mario World, you don't feel that, even though it is however old it is, but
right.
Solid pick though. Definitely one of the best Mario games, I would say.
I mean, that's why I didn't pick 64. I think it's a tremendously transformative, important game, but I don't think it's aged particularly great, which is kind of nitpicking on a N64 game, to be fair. But
of N64 games in general, I think it's one of the ones that's aged better than a lot of other N64 games.
I agree with that.
I agree with your point, but I do think it's done the best that it possibly could.
I was about to say, like, kind of harking back to my 216 episode, it's like, I think Mario 64 has aged for its genre infinitely better than Ocarina of Time did for the Zelda games. And also, I actually want to shout out Mario 64 as a pick because I will say it is a really, really fun game. If like nobody else has done this, because I did for about a year or so. It's a very fun speed run where you constantly feel the improvement. And it's just a really, really fun game to play as a speed run. Like it just
I think it's one of the best games to watch as a speed run too.
Oh, it's
insane.
I
love watching Mario 64 speed runs. They are so entertaining. The
control is like the routing and everything is just like so fluid. Like you watch a really good Mario 64 speedrunner and then you play the game and you're like, is this the same game? Because like I feel like I'm playing like somebody walking around on molasses or something, and like that speedrunner just made it look like a current gen game, like in terms of the way they had control over Mario.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, looks like I'm up, and my overall favorite Mario game is still on the board, which is Bowser's Fury. I'm just kidding. I'm not picking Bowser's Fury.
I was about to riot.
It's not my favorite Mario game.
Nice try. You're not fucking spirits tracking us,
My favorite Mario game of all time is Super Mario Bros. 3. I think it's the best designed Mario game, 2D Mario game that's been made. I think the controls on Mario World are better. I think the overall level design and game design of Mario 3 is superior to Super Mario World, which I think this plays into a lot of like, if you follow any of the Super Mario World ROM hacks, there's a million of them. and it shows what Super Mario World could do. And there's not as many Super Mario Bros. 3 ROM hacks because of the limitations of the game because it's on the Nintendo. But what they did between Super Mario 1 and Super Mario 3 on the NES is incredible. It's insane that both Mario 1 and Mario 3 are on the same system.
Agreed.
And they just pushed the NES to the max. The level design is so good. All the quality of life stuff that they added, the overworld map, everything that like we come to know that it goes with a Mario game, I feel like comes from Super Mario 3 even more so than Super Mario 1. Just the controls are good, the level design is good, the graphics are great, and it still really, really holds up. So that's my favorite of the 2D Mario games. Even though I think the Mario World controls are better, I will say that. And this also might be nostalgia too, because I played the shit out of it.
Legitimately, Fear, this was the other one I considered, would have considered it number one. And if Mario World wasn't there, this is what I would have taken. Also, you didn't name it. The ships are so fucking cool, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just, can you believe this game came out on the NES? Like, that's unbelievable, the life cycle of the NES. You know, when you look at Super Mario 1, which is a good game, don't get me wrong, but it's night and day.
They look like they're on a different generation. They
totally
really
do. They totally do. And it's crazy what they were able to do with it. And like I said, I think it's got just overall the best levels. Like World 8 is scary and tense and hard, and the final castle is really cool. You know, fighting Bowser when he's like jumping on you and breaking the bricks and stuff is such a cool final boss fight. But yeah, real big fan of it. And it was featured in the movie The Wizard. So there you go.
Yeah, honestly, I was prepping to pick this, and I definitely was trying to research, like, how do I make the ladies and gentlemen, I give you Super Mario Brothers 3. Like, I was trying to figure out how I actually was going to pipe that over my screen. So you're all welcome that I didn't think that.
All right, Shareen, you're up. Lots of games have been taken. There's still a lot on the board, though. What are you going to go with?
You know, my number one was for sure Super Mario 64. And looking at the games left, I think the next one for me is going to be Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
Wow.
I can't think of another game that not only did I enjoy so much on a casual playthrough, but found the replayability there. And also the level of fun that I had just to watch everyone play through it and have their different experience more than any other game. I liked all the Mario RPG games, and I think this one was by far the best. And to think it's almost 20 years old now.
No, are you serious?
Crazy. Yep. I think it was 2004.
What system? Was it GameCube?
It's GameCube. 2004,
Holy
I
shit.
think. It's almost 20 years old.
That's nuts. I have
July
not played
2004.
Wow. I have not played any of the Paper Mario series, so these are the kind of games that I don't have
aging.
So I can't really speak to the quality of them. RPG is the only one of the role-playing games that I've played, but everyone talks about how good Thousand Year Door is.
Get a copy of it and play it. Good Lord.
This game fucking rules, Fear.
Does it?
I haven't even played it since 2008, and it's like, and I only played it once, and I can just say like it's incredible, and I don't know what you're doing having not played it.
Like, let me say this: this was on my list of games I thought were super reasonable to pick number one. That's how good this game is.
Wow.
Same.
Like, I don't think it's a better game than World necessarily. I don't think it's a more, but like. I
think that one's fun. So hard to say which is a better game because the genre is so different.
Yeah, they're all different. Like you have 2D, you have 3D, and then in the RPG, it's a completely different space, right? You know, you don't think of, you don't look at it in terms of speed running. You don't look at it in terms of, you know, it's very different, but it's a fantastic game.
All right. Seems like a reasonable pick at number 5, having not played it. The shit talking is not very good today. I think everyone likes these games too much to shit talk them. So
your pick was bad,
we'll see when we get to a couple of later picks.
Someone's gonna draft Sunshine, and I'm just torn up.
I think we need to hold Fear to his meme pick and make him take Bowser's Fury for his first pick.
I just said it was my favorite. That was a joke. All right, Jesse, you got 2 picks back to back, number 6 and number 7. What are you going to go with?
Okay, I guess you know what? It doesn't matter which order I pick them in, so I'll go with the one that I definitely want to pick. Super Mario RPG.
Nice. We're on the cusp of the remake coming out.
So yeah, and that's the thing. I'll say for Shareen's pick, like I know a lot of people love Thousand Year Door. I never got into Paper Mario. Nothing against the series in general. It was just, it always felt bad to me as somebody who adored RPG as a kid. And Paper Mario was kind of what killed RPG in a sense. And I know it's other issues, but to me, it felt like you killed my favorite.
Yeah. The favorite died and Paper Mario was kind of the consolation prize.
Yeah. But no, that collab between Nintendo and Square was just, there's so many little things to love about that game. And like, I think Kaesden and I were talking about the other night, it was just the minimal things that there were there at times, like Mario not having lines. And it was always when he would act or the facial expressions and he'd transform into Bowser or some other character. It was always like, there's such great little humor and it just works perfectly as this overarching story as a result. No matter how simple, like even the RPG side of it is, it still is just has this great feel the whole way.
For me, it was a great introduction to the role-playing game series because I didn't play Final Fantasy or any other RPGs that are a little bit too complex for my dumb little brain as a kid.
Yeah. No, that might have been my first RPG as well.
Yeah, it was a great introduction. Any other thoughts about Mario RPG before Jesse gets his next pick?
Game's really fucking good, man.
I was very much considering it as a pick, and I had a lot of thoughts about that and Paper Mario and whatnot. But a little bit of meta calling here, you know, with Jesse having 2 picks, and that I wanted to take Thousand Year Door, but that was my other thought. Like, it's an absolute amazing game.
Yeah.
Well, and I think part of that almost becomes like, I'm not saying that, you know, baby Shareen here, but like, I think there's a generational thing in a sense is like, I grew up with Super Mario RPG. Like that's like elementary middle for me. Shareen, I'm guessing Thousand Year Door was around that time for you.
It actually wasn't. I actually played RPG early on.
Okay.
Because I did have a SNES, but that game at the age that I played it, I just found it a lot more difficult. It's a lot. It's one of those older games, you know, I think on the SNES, just like Link to the Past in Zelda is that like you have to like explore things and things don't necessarily make sense. And like, it's a very hard game, but it's like very fun. And in RPG specifically in the late game, it is a very difficult game.
Oh yeah, it is. It is tough. It is tough. I'm really looking forward to the remake though. To get to play it on the Switch is gonna be pretty cool.
Please support it. Like, you know, let's make people realize that we want more RPG. We want more stuff with Gino and maybe Mallow, but Gino.
Yeah, but then I'd have to support Nintendo remaking their games and selling them for full price.
I know.
I mean, that's the Nintendo way since, forever.
Like, I get it. I want to support it. I love that game, but also I'm kind of over it.
This at least looks like a full, like, you know, not just a, here you go, here's the same thing over again. Like
not
this,
a re-release.
Yeah, this looks like a remake. This looks like the love and effort goes into it.
Yeah, it's not just a port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least fingers crossed. We haven't played it yet. Hopefully it's not just a port, but I trust them to do the right thing. Jesse, you got one more pick. What are you going to go with?
This is more difficult. I'm actually going to pick the first Super Mario. We're going to go back to the beginning. And I was having a tough time because in terms of the games, like, do you go with a 3D? Do you go with a 2D? And I think this is just, you know, whether or not you say that Super Mario still is as great as it was, this is the start, the origin. It still holds up as a really good game. It's just, there's so much design that like people teach classes on how good this game was designed. Like, this is clearly, you know, one of those starts to not just this game series, but gaming in a sense.
I mean, 1-1 is the most iconic level.
There are lectures on 1-1.
Yeah, in all of gaming.
That Goomba is the single greatest serial killer of all time.
That's right. Yeah, it teaches you right out the gate though, and that's it showed us something back in 1985 or whenever it came out. I think you also get Duck Hunt with this pick too.
Woo! The game that nobody can really play because TVs do not support light guns.
That's right.
But the dog can still laugh at you, so it's okay.
Oh. I mean, the first Mario game does so much. The infinite one-up trick that you talked about, with your friends at recess, and all the weird numbers, the crown and stuff that it goes into after you hit a certain amount of lives because the game couldn't support it.
The flagpole glitch,
everything. It's just there was so much to it, and it's hard as hell, man. The game is hard. World 8 is hard. I maybe I just suck, but I still think it's hard.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, look at the game right after it in Mario 2 or Lost Levels. Like, that game is brutal.
Yeah, super brutal.
Yeah, as the former warpless runner, yes, SMB1 is hard.
Yeah, and the way that they're talk about cool speed runs. I mean, this has, for as simple as the game is, still has one of the coolest speed runs too.
I mean, I can rewatch a video about Super Mario speed runs and just be like, yeah, no, this is really fun to watch, as they talk about like the frame rule system. Like, it's so simple, and like the analogies they come up with to describe it, it's just straightforward. You understand what they mean by it. So
imagine there's a
crazy
bus.
I think it's crazy just how figured out that game is too for speed running. Like, it's down to the point where people are almost certain that human runs that improve on it are getting to the point of just being straight up impossible. Like, the perfect run has probably already happened, or damn near.
Yeah, no, I don't remember if it was a Summoning Salt video talked about like the human limit of what we can do with this game.
Yeah,
and
I'm pretty sure
unless there is a new strat, like, they know what the task is, and that there's just no way to improve it. So it's who can put together eventually, potentially, all 8 levels.
Summoning Salt is a cool channel, though.
It really is.
I actually like this pick, by the way.
I'm really glad you drafted this because I wanted nothing to do with this game. Not because I think it's a bad pick. I don't think it's a bad pick. It's just such a difficult game to evaluate.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It is. I mean, it's the grandfather of modern gaming for sure. Shareen, you're up.
Surely I can't pick the other Paper Mario, the first one. Honestly, like, I don't know how people are going to feel about this pick, but I think I'm going to go with Super Mario Galaxy. The first one.
Oh, that was going to be my pick next.
So that was actually the one game that I thought was going to go in like the first 4 that I was surprised was still available.
It's so good. Go ahead, Shareen.
Missing out on Super Mario 64 and Odyssey, I felt like Galaxy for me also just played so fun. Gathering, the open worlds, gathering the stars, and just it was such a good game. And having all the different planets, and just the movement in that game as well, and there's just so much good about it. I remember being just as excited for Galaxy 2 when it came out, and I took Paper Mario, and I'm like, I kind of want Galaxy. That's like one of my very different genre type of Mario games that I'm a big fan of. But I think it's just a all around game. I don't know how many people were like into the Wii, because it's the Wii's a questionable system for some people, but I think it's one of the best titles on that system.
I think the GameCube is probably the Wii U. I think is the more questionable of the systems.
Wii U is definitely the black sheepest of Nintendo systems for sure.
I feel like the Wii was like the GameCube came out, it did okay-ish, and then the Wii comes out and kind of is like, hey, Nintendo's kind of back. And then the Wii U comes out, and it's like, oh no. What have they done?
I almost have the opposite problem. I was like, GameCube was like, I understand the limitations of what they did with that system, but I really enjoyed the games on it. And then the Wii came out and I was like, I like these games, but I hate this controller. I can't stand it. And like Wii U, and I was like, I'd already kind of moved on a bit from Nintendo at that point for a while.
Yeah.
Two other things about Galaxy. I felt like it played very well on the Wii, and the music, the orchestrated music, I felt like was a big one. I felt that definitely enhanced the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mario Galaxy, I just played it for the first time within the last year. And the first time I played it when it was originally out, I didn't like it initially because it kind of gave me like this weird vertigo feeling running around these little planets where you're like, you're all of a sudden upside down, and it just like messed with my brain. I'm like, I'm out. And
you
then
should play a speed run.
I don't know. I just couldn't handle it. And then I played it again. I'm like, I'm just going to press through because I'm playing through the entire Mario series. And I fell in love with it, especially after playing Sunshine, and it blew me away. It is so good. Great level design. A lot of fun. I agree with this pick, and I'm mad that you took it.
Have you seen what people do with like the gravity shenanigans and speedruns? Where they it's insane.
That's one I should watch. I haven't checked out any speedruns for Galaxy because again, I kind of it was like to me it was kind of the black sheep for a while, but super wrong. Now I don't know what to do. Like I really don't know what to do. I don't think I want to go with another 2D game, and I could go Galaxy 2, but I never played it, so I'm like, do I put my eggs in a basket that I don't know if the eggs are any good? I've heard it's good, but I haven't played it, so it's hard for me to judge it. I'm going to go in between and go 3D World. I really like Super Mario 3D World. I think it's a fun multiplayer game. 3D Land was an interesting new wrinkle on Mario, but the fact that the 3D World was on a not a handheld console just made it that much more enjoyable. I thought the level design was cool. The nods to the 2D side of things while playing 3D is really cool. I just like the mix of it. It's not fully a 3D Mario game. It's not fully a 2D Mario game. It's somewhere in between. And it's not the new soup Mario's, I think was a huge improvement for me. So going to go with 3D Mario World.
You know what? I respect it. I think this game is severely underrated. And I mean, there's not much more to say than that. Like you said, it's a very good game. I think both 3D Land and 3D World do the like transition of like the level-based Mario games to 3D fantastically, but obviously 3D World does it a lot better. It's just like, it's such a good game.
It is. And it's multiplayer, which most Mario games don't have. And I really enjoy that, especially with the kids. Like me and the kids all play together, and we're all trying to get to the flag the first and trying to get that crown. It's a lot of fun. I have a really good time playing Super Mario 3D World. So I'm going to take that there. Kaesden, you're up next.
All right. I think I need to get a 2D game, or at least a 2D adjacent game in my list, just to kind of start filling it out. And I think the next I'm actually going to, unless you made a rule about this before I joined, because I know I joined a little bit late, but I'm going to pull Super Mario Brothers Wonder. The unreleased game.
Okay,
and I'm going on a gamble that it's going to be a good game. It was on your initial list. I don't know if you guys talked about banning it before.
You know what? I will allow it. Super Mario Wonder. Talk about a game that has yet to be released.
Yeah, like it looks good. I like the kind of format of like Mario 3D World and the new Super Mario Bros. Where it's a 3D game, but in a 2D. The way it plays is 2D. I just kind of want to throw that gamble out there and hope that it holds up and ends up being a good game.
Definitely a gamble.
I have a lot of faith. I have faith that it's going to be good. I just really hope that the online features can be turned off, because I don't want to see people's ghosts everywhere. I don't want like people's
Yeah,
I don't
that's
want
fair.
people's power-ups to be popping up all over the place. Like, I just want to be able to enjoy this game like single
Just
player.
play it for what it is and
Yep.
move on. Yeah. No, I
Can we
definitely
get rid of the
agree with
talking
that.
flowers too, by the way?
Fuck this entire trend in games, by the way.
I do hope they can there's an ability to either get rid of the talking flowers or just to turn them off, because just watching the latest direct, they are super annoying. Super annoying.
They seemed fine.
No,
I'm way more worried about the I'm way more worried about the online components of the game not being able to be turned off than I am about the talking flowers. The talking flowers are just like a carrot. They're like a toad in like all the they're like the generic toad in all the Paper Mario games that aren't going to get drafted. It's it's whatever. But these ridiculous online features that I guess people are asking for. I was going to say nobody asked for, but
yeah.
It's definitely old man yells at cloud coming out here, but
It's strange you can't just play with your friends. Isn't that weird? You can get a group, but they're not actually playing together. You're still doing that whole ghost system. That's super weird.
Yeah,
I mean,
but why?
I'm excited for the game only because and this might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, and it probably is the case considering they're all still available, but I actually feel like the level design in the new Super Mario Brothers 2D games have been, other than New Super Mario Brothers 2, have all been completely fantastic. And I feel like other than it's just, they're newer and therefore don't have as much nostalgia tied to them. I think the level design can go blow for blow with Mario 1, Mario 3, Super Mario World. The art, not as much. The music and sound direction, not as crisp. The level design recently in the Mario games has been just as good as it used to be, and I think Mario Wonder will continue that trend.
It's a bold choice. I mean, no one's played it, so it's hard to judge it.
No, and I'm kind of picking it based on I do like the new Super Mario games. I think they are good. I think part of the problem with them, why they don't get more fanfare, is that they're kind of rehashing what's already been done. They're just doing it in a way that's good. But they're not really the most innovative games, so they don't always stand out.
I think the new Soup series just kind of became stagnant. Yeah. And I think this looks different. I think it was important. And I think Mario level design has always been pretty top notch. It's hard to find a Mario game with terrible levels.
That's fair too, yeah.
Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, I will guess.
I almost want to take it just to be a shit.
Sunshine's not the best game, but it gets way more hate than it deserves, in my opinion.
I hated it. I will not be picking Sunshine. Wonder's going to be interesting though. There's a lot of cool new power ups. The badges thing I think is interesting. That adds it's power ups without being power ups. Local co-op is cool. I love the graphic style. It's just it calls back to some of the older style, but done in a modern way. And yeah, we'll see.
All right, I don't want to rain on Kaesden's parade here, but my uncle works for Nintendo, and I've played an early full copy of it, and the game fucking sucks. Nobody vote for Kaesden.
There you go. Alaszun, you're up. Pick number.
All right, so I actually have a serious question.
I'm going to need a copy of that game for proof.
How the fuck am I going to end up with the best 2D and the best 3D game in the entire fucking Mario franchise? What the fuck are you guys doing? I'm grabbing Galaxy 2. Come on. In fear, you scared the shit out of me when you said that, but Galaxy 2 is Galaxy except better in every single way.
If I had played it, I feel like I probably would have taken
Galaxy
it. But it was
is awesome. I love Galaxy. I did my fucking final project in robotics in college, building a fucking robot that would move around and collect star bits for you as the second player because the freshman who lived in our dorm liked fucking with me and tried to kill me all the time in Galaxy. Galaxy rules. And one thing that we didn't talk about there, and I was decidedly quiet during the Galaxy discussion because I was trying to not tip my hand, hopes that people wouldn't take Galaxy 2. So you mentioned, Fear, that the way the gravity played around you disoriented you and made it difficult for you.
Yeah.
Think about how that affected the level design in the games and how fucking cool that was.
Yeah.
You took a thing that went from 2D to 3D in 64, And then with Galaxy and Galaxy 2, you basically went from 3D to kind of a 4D where you're warping the planet that people on and you're playing around with gravity. And it's just such a fun fucking game. Like, I don't think I have played a Mario game I have actually enjoyed more than this. I loved the levels. I loved the power-ups. I have no bad things to say about this game.
Was 2 just Galaxy again, or did it add anything?
It's Galaxy again with like good level. Like, well, I mean, Galaxy had good levels. Galaxy 2 also had good levels, and it also got rid of the completely pointless like hub world that like was just in your way from level to level.
It was basically just a streamlined version of 1.
Okay.
In a good way. It also was actually super fun to do like the completion stuff and like I'm gonna get every single one of these power stars and go in and play as Luigi and like all that shit was so much fun, man. I blew so much of my time in college on this game. It was so good. I love it so much.
Shareen, was there any thought to taking 2 over the first one?
There was some thoughts. I personally liked 1 better just because I felt like the galaxies did a lot more with them. Like in 2, I felt like some galaxies were like so big, but then you go in there, just do a couple stars and you're out, and like it wasn't what it could be. And like I guess with the with the world, the Starship Mario, a bit weird. And Alaszun, what about Lo? That's a con from Galaxy 2.
Alaszun.
Oh, okay, I'm dying here. Am I here?
You are. You are.
Okay. This was the last game on my list of games I thought could have been sensible number 1 picks. It was Super Mario World, Super Mario Brothers 3, 64, Galaxy 2, and Thousand Year Door. And so getting it down at number 11, I'm ecstatic. But
yeah. All right. Solid couple of picks. Ninjembro, you're up. You got 2 picks. Where are you going to go?
All right. So I thought for sure I was going to be able to somehow steal Galaxy 2. I didn't know Alaszun was going to come in with like the insane value of getting, again, like a top 4 pick at number 11. Although I did have Galaxy 1 in my likely to go first and not Galaxy 2, just because I know the common sentiment is that Galaxy 1 is the better game. But y'all have left another, like, I don't think it was a number 1 contender, but like y'all left a first round contender just up there for free. All right. And we're taking Yoshi's Island.
Can I say I don't like this game? Like I know I'm in the minority. I do not like this game.
All right, so I needed a 2D game. Yoshi's Island, like it's all right. So Fear, I'm going to say this as respectfully as possible. You're fucking wrong. Okay. Like the game is just good. The art style is great. The music is great. Like the level design is great. Like it feels rewarding to like 100%. The worst thing I can think about the game is like taking damage, because then you have to deal with like wah 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 wah, and it's like, you know what? You don't want to hear that? Get good.
That's a pretty bad worst thing, to be fair. That thing is really annoying.
It's really bad. It's terrible.
That mechanic sucks.
Yeah, like I was watching Rick stream this recently, and like every time that happened, I was like, oh man, was it really this bad? Because I haven't replayed this in a while. But yeah, it's just like, but it's a solid game. And I think, did I think it was going to be like a top 3 pick? No, but like it feels like a steal to get it at 12. Just like I
agree that the art style is cool and the music is really cool and all of that. You play as Yoshi. It's not even a Mario game, in my opinion. Like, yes, it's called Super Mario World 2. You're not playing as Mario. It just feels so different playing as Yoshi.
Are you playing as Bowser and Bowser's Fury, Fear?
You don't play as Bowser and Bowser's Fury. So, no. But it feels completely different. It doesn't feel like a Mario game to me. And I think that's the problem, is the expectation of I want to play a Mario game and I'm not. I think that's kind of where it comes from.
Look, I don't make the rules. You put it up there. Just saying.
It's a 100% a Mario game. It's called Super Mario World 2. Like, it has to be included.
So why isn't Yoshi's Story in here? That's a Mario game then, right?
Is it called
Because-
Super Mario World 8?
It's called Super Mario 64 Yoshi's Story. Duh.
Is it
I
really?
didn't just make that up. No, I fucking made that up.
It's actually interesting because Yoshi's Island isn't Super Mario World 2 in Japan, but Super Mario World in Japan is also Super Mario Brothers 4. So,
Right.
you know,
Sure.
I
At
don't
least
make
they're
the rules.
consistent.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I also get to pick 13th overall here, right?
You
and
do.
this is an interesting spot I'm in because
Can I just
this
say
is-
before you pick, I think your pick is great. I think Super Mario World 2 at that spot is a great value.
thank you. I appreciate it.
I know I'm in the minority. I know people love this game. I get it. I know that that people love it. I just, when I played it, I don't like it.
So this is an interesting spot be going 13th here because you look at the list of games that are still available, and there's some great games, there's some stinkers, and then there's Sticker Star, Color Splash bullshit, and that other one for the Switch.
Origami King?
That's the one. Now, interestingly enough, shout out to Kaesden here because like I was just like my last pick, you know, at 24th overall was just going to be default whatever's left, but now I'm going to be left with like 2 games to choose from, so that's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I'm not picking any of those 3 unless so looking at the other ones that are left, it's like there's some good choices, but I have to make sure that I pick one that counts because not going to be a lot left when it gets back around to me. But of the games that are left, I'm actually going to go here, and this is kind of going back to what I was saying a little bit earlier, that I think the new Super Mario Brothers games get a little bit more hate than they deserve. They're just a little bland, but they have good level design and everything. And I'm going to go with New Super Mario Brothers U. I think it has really good level design. It was the first foray for Nintendo into the HD world, and the game just like looks beautiful. It controls well. There's actually like really tough hidden exits to find at times. Like everybody talks about, like you go back to some of the old Mario games and they're like brutally difficult. Like New Super Mario Brothers U is not like you put that in front of like a 4 or 5 year old, like you put Mario 1 in front of us at 4 or 5, and it's just as, if not more difficult, probably. Like relatively. But and I know I assume it's not part of this because it's not really listed, but it also had like the new Luigi U DLC, which is also bundled in with the Switch version, which is probably one of the more difficult Mario games out there. And was also just like another really good set of like 80 some levels. So I think New Super Mario Brothers U coming in right after, you know, I have a very strong 3D game. I somehow got Yoshi's Island at 12th, but I needed to get like another solid, like, you know, quote, actual Mario game. From the options that are left, I think New Super Mario Brothers U is just simply it. And I'm really happy to have that pick.
For me, this new soup sort of wore out pretty quickly. I don't hate New Soup Mario Bros. U, but I don't think it's the best one. I get what you're saying. The foray into HD makes it a nice addition, but I feel like by the time U came out, I was like, ready for something new. But again, that's just me. Any other thoughts about New Soup or Yoshi's Island?
I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping the hate on that game would last long enough for me to get it next round.
Didn't last. Alaszun, you're back up. You got really strong picks with Mario World and Galaxy 2. What are you going to follow it up with?
How does it actually feel to just have a strictly worse version of my team? You have a worse 3D game and a worse 2D game. Like,
oh wow!
How does that feel?
Now that you put it that way, it doesn't feel great. But depending on what you're able to get here, you know, I do feel like my trio of games is still pretty damn well rounded. So I'm not super worried about it.
I'm going to take a better game than what you just picked. And I'm taking Paper Mario, man.
That was That was the other choice for me.
Like, Paper Mario isn't good as Thousand Year Door. It's not really as good as SMRPG, but holy moly, that game is still really freaking good.
I'm replaying it at the moment, and yes, it is fantastic. I'm 3 stars in, and it's just so good.
Yeah, it's like it's in the same order of quality as those games. It's just maybe slightly rougher. The story doesn't quite flow as much. It's not quite as funny. But on the whole, that game fucking rules. And I didn't think I would be able to get Paper Mario with my second pick. So the fact that I'm getting it with my third pick has me fucking upset.
I feel like you've dominated.
I feel like I could not pick a fourth game, and I would still have the best.
Oh wow, wow! Strong thoughts. Kaesden, you're up.
Oh, that was a strong pick. I was hoping to get that one too. What do I want to pick next?
You just want a different RPG,
right?
There's so many great paper games.
There are a bunch of good ones. I don't know that that's what I'm gonna want to go with.
What happened to the color or the paper series? Because you guys, it starts off so good, and then you get Thousand World Door or whatever, and then you guys are mentioning the rest
Thousand
are
Year
trash.
Door was the peak of it, I think, for sure. And
Gimmicks.
Put in
the
perspective
original
here,
was good.
The original and Thousand Year Door were so good that every other game was just a complete letdown, and they just kept going in a worse direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they tried to do new things and try to make it different, and it just kind of kept making it worse. Like, they're not like objectively just complete trash. Oh my god, how could you ever enjoy this game? But like they
knocked it out of the park the first couple of times.
The first two were just that good.
The first 3 games of that series were just all phenomenal. If you put RPG in the same series as Paper Mario, which I understand if you don't want to, but they're at least stylistically similar enough that you can. Yeah. And then they started trying to fuck with the formula enough, and it just didn't do good things. I don't think.
Yeah, so
There's think I'm going to pull.
Stuff. No, there is. There definitely is. I think I'm going to pull the game that I end up watching the most. I'm going to pull Mario Maker 2.
Oh, that got removed. Sorry. Yeah, but you missed that one.
Removed it.
We moved the Mario Maker.
All the Mario Makers got removed.
The Mario Makers and
damn it.
Run got removed. Yeah, sorry.
Well, I mean, you could have left Run in there and no one would pick it anyway, so that's fine.
For sure.
Have any of you played Run and like actually bought it and played through it?
Yeah, I have it.
I actually didn't hate it, but like it's definitely a $10 game.
Yeah.
People also enjoyed Flappy Bird, my dude.
That's true.
Yeah, it's Mario.
I don't think it's worth the $10.
Mario
though.
Bird is what it is.
It's like a 99-cent game, really. It should have been at least.
Well, then, with that being pulled out, I'm gonna just come out of left field and not waste a bunch of time here. I'm gonna pull a classic and get Mario 2.
Which one?
The US Mario 2.
Okay, all right. Just making sure.
The one that's actually possible for mortals to beat. I just like Mario 3 is obviously the best Mario game on the NES. I think hands down. I think we would all agree with that. The original is also great just because of its history. Mario 2, I think, has a lot of the same qualities of Mario 3, even though its origins aren't exactly a Mario game. But it was a fun game. Like, I remember spending a lot of time in this as a kid, and it's a good game.
It is. It was such a novel approach for us as Americans, especially because we didn't know about Lost Levels.
I think the fact that we didn't get the Lost Worlds, which, like, really the Lost Worlds is just Super Mario 1 continued with harder and harder levels is really all it is.
It's also bullshit.
Mario 2, because it was based on a different video game, has some of the most unique mechanics of any Mario game, even to date, that's ever come out.
You get to pick your character. That's so cool.
For being not truly Mario 2 at the time, though, how much of that stuff is kind of held over? Like the floaty Peach, the super jumping Luigi, like those are almost tropes of the later games now.
Yeah.
So like it did set some canon stuff just like that. Like it's a good game.
It is really interesting to me that like Mario 2 obviously was just a reskin of Doki Doki Panic from Japan.
Why are we drafting Doki Doki Panic in this draft?
Right. But also like it's weird that like, you know, a bunch of those enemies and stuff end up becoming Mario canon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Despite being from a completely different game. Birdo.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, when are we getting Wart as a playable character in like Mario Kart?
The ninjas. There's so many enemies that are now just a
part of the series.
Yeah, 100%. And it's fun. It's a fun game to play. The fact that all 4 characters control differently, I think is a really cool mechanic that was introduced all the way back on the NES. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, that was back then. And then like any character can still beat any level. So it's not like you can make a bad choice or a wrong choice. It's just what do you like? What do you enjoy? Or which one plays the way you like it to play?
It also got me addicted to gambling as well. So thank you, Nintendo, as a child.
She got you prepped for all the fucking microtransactions.
Just trying to mash that A button to get those cherries,
loot boxes early.
Yeah. I think this is a great pick, especially with where you're getting it. I really like this
for
game
this
a lot.
deep in, like if Paper Mario had somehow survived one more round, which I didn't really think it would, I would have grabbed it for sure. But this deep in, I think Mario 2 is a good pick.
Yeah. I'm not picking Lost Levels because it's basically what if Mario devs made Mario Maker levels, just like bullshit levels that are just complete trash. They're not fair. There's jumps that are just blind. It's just bad level design, and it feels like a terrible game. So I'm not picking that.
Inspiration for Kaizo.
As much as I've talked, okay, exactly. They're the first Kaizo game, and I've got like one of the best 2D games of all time with Mario Bros. 3, and 3D World is kind of the in between of the 3D and the 2D. I feel like I need a strong 3D game, and there's only one really left. And as much as I've been shitting on it, I think I have to take Mario Sunshine.
I wanted a strong 3D game, so I'm drafting a 3D game.
Bowser's Fury was still up there. I mean,
yeah, Bowser's Fury is so short though. Fury?
It's 20% of a game.
It's really fun, but it is short. So it's even hard
also
to
half
include
of your
it.
second pick.
That's true. That's true. That is true. So I kind of got it bundled. Let me talk about what the good thing about Sunshine. It's a 3D Mario game for the GameCube. All right, Shareen, you're up.
Wow, you can even defend it. I would have defended myself. Come on.
I'm trying to think of like good reasons to why I picked this game. I'm doing it more so as I need a 3D game.
Let me give you one. The acapella of the original Mario theme that they do in some of those levels is really cool.
Yeah,
sure. I think there's I do like the final like boss fight stuff. I think that's pretty fun. There's some really cool level,
but like the flood and just like the level design itself like could have been a little bit better, but like the movement possibilities in the game were like ahead of its time.
It definitely moves well. I just think like some of the, especially like the parkour levels that are like separate from the actual islands, I feel like were the most frustrating parts of the game.
Yes, and those are like I feel like back then they were like the parts where you're like super excited to do.
Yeah.
And because it was like, oh, it's like just 3D Mario platforming. And like that's it. Yeah. But like in a recent replay, you're right. Like they were the parts I was least excited about going to. And I'm just like, what changed? And it was like, yeah, they were designed terribly. But like the other biggest problem of the game, I think, and I think it's probably why the game just doesn't stick in a lot of people's minds. Like the level design, when you actually like go back and look at the levels, like was really cool with what like with the abilities that you had and like what the flood could let you do. But like they tried very hard to stick to the theme, and there's only so much you can do with Tropical Island. And like every level, like despite trying to be a little different, like fell back on Tropical Island is the theme, with the only exception really being like the spooky resort.
Oh, right. Yeah. Here's the thing is like it introduced a mechanic, the flood mechanic, right? Which was just so gimmicky that it had me even worried when Mario Odyssey was coming out. Like, remember when they first introduced Cappy? I was like, oh no, is this going to be like Sunshine where I have this gimmick? And it wasn't. Cappy was awesome. But
here's the thing, like when I hear that it's a gimmick, like, have they ever kept a gimmick?
True.
Like, I wouldn't be shocked if we never see Cappy again. Like,
Sure.
it's, they try something and they're like, it was good for a game, but we don't want to do it again.
Sure.
Hey, Jesse, let me introduce you to this game that got drafted 11th overall called Galaxy 2.
You're really like, you're less supporting yourself here than you think. Just giving more credence to Alaszun kicking all of her asses again.
Yeah.
True.
Here's the thing with Sunshine is I know that I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I know that it has a lot of fans. And that's kind of why I'm drafting it as well, is I think I just because I don't like something doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. And I think that a lot of people do like Sunshine and enjoy playing it. And you get a lot of time into the game. It's pretty long. The speed runs are pretty interesting as well. But I'm just because of the show, you don't have to love it to draft it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we're 16 picks in right now, and the games are still this good.
Yeah.
Like, I've been kind of shitting on it here too, but like, it's not like this is a bad game. It is a bad game in comparison with these other games.
It's like shitting on it in context of all of these games.
Yes, I would play Mario Sunshine over 1,000 other terrible games for sure. But when you compare it to what we've been looking at and drafting here, it's definitely, I think, kind of right in its sweet spot right here.
There are 4 bad games left, and I won't say what the 4th one is because I don't want people like hate drafting me, but like 3 of them are obvious because we've already talked about them.
Shareen, you're up.
I was absolutely going to take Sunshine.
I know.
A little unfortunate there. That game was probably one of the most expensive GameCube like common titles up until All Stars came out with the getting it on the Switch. And as much as there's a lot of people who hate it, it's an absolutely amazing game. So I'm very upset to not get that in the 3rd round here. So I honestly haven't played a lot of the ones left, and I don't have too much commentary with this pick. But I'm just gonna take Lost Levels to round out my picks.
Wow. All right. Has anybody played Lost Levels?
I did on the All Stars.
I've played the first of the Lost Levels multiple times.
I have heard some frustration with this one.
It's such a difficult game.
Spring jumps where you have to time it to the wind in the level, lack of power-ups, introduction of the poison mushroom,
The first mushroom in the game is a poison mushroom.
Right.
Look, same as Mario 1, at least they introduce you to the mechanic right away.
Yeah.
I think there's a regular mushroom before that one, but it's like
game. Hey, look, a mushroom. Oh, but I'm dead.
To be fair, there is a regular mushroom before that, but it's in a brown block, so you have to like know that it's there or be like jumping for it.
You have to play part 1.
It's bullshit. It's a bullshit game.
It is a brutal game. Like it's definitely an era of the time where like a sequel for a game basically like it's not as brutally difficult. Like if you think about it as the fact that like they basically wanted to pick up exactly where Mario 1 left off. So it's like you don't play Mario 2 unless you played Mario 1 because we are starting with the difficulty at game 4. And then you're like, okay, this seems a little more reasonable because like some of the early levels in Lost Levels, like they're way harder than like 1-1 in Mario 1, but like Lost Levels doesn't get like really, really bad until like World like 6 or so. But from there on out, it's just like, what the hell were they thinking? It's really bad. And there are warp zones in that game that send you backwards, so that's really fun.
Yep.
Fun.
It's bad Mario Maker.
For some definition of fun, yes.
I think, Nintendo's made a lot of bad decisions, in the last 35 years or 40 years or however long they've been around. Credit to them not sending us Lost Levels and sending us the Super Mario 2 that we got has got to be one of the best decisions ever. Because if they sent Lost Levels to the US, I feel like it kills all of Mario's momentum coming off of number 1.
I would agree with that.
It's a good decision unless you think about it from the lens of like they thought that us Americans were too like fucking wimpy to be able to beat the game, so they
Which
wanted to
is
send us something
literally
easier.
what they actually thought.
Yes.
Like that is exactly what their thought process was.
They weren't wrong. The game Mario 2 would have Lost Levels would have killed the momentum of Mario.
Like I think
the
if they brought out Mario Lost Levels as Mario 2 and then still brought out Mario 2 as like either Mario 3 or Mario 2.5 and just had an additional game, they would have been fine. But Lost Levels could have also just killed all the momentum. It's so hard to say.
Agreed.
All right, Jesse, you got your last two picks. What are you going to go with?
Okay, so I part of me looks at this and just says, I got a 2D, I got an RPG. What facets of Mario am I missing here? And I think one of those big ones is portability. So I'm going to take the Super Mario Land 2 the 6 golden coins. And this is partly a nostalgia pick for me because I played the shit out of this game growing up. But that's the game I remember playing in the car. Like that was part of having Mario. Like I had Super Mario Land 1 and it was okay, but like 2 has that Mario feel still. Plus it was where we got Wario.
Yeah.
I fucking love this game, by the way, Jesse.
Yeah.
I have the exact same nostalgia feel for this game as you do.
I think that's a terrible pick and you should put it back.
Is that because you want it?
Yep. Damn right.
But like that's the thing is like Nintendo has always been the home console side and then the Game Boy side of things. And I think there's some great DS titles, and like I said, Land 1 is good, but Land 2 was kind of the one that was, I think, the better of them. Land 1 had some weird levels to it, that like the space siege shooter thing, and 2 just feels like a Mario game completely. And
Land 1 is short too.
Yeah, Land 2,
it also
like
was
there's
open where you could like pick where you were going and like which worlds you wanted to conquer, which like at the time was huge and really cool.
Just like Mario 1 and Mario 3, it's crazy that Land and Land 2 are on the same console because 2 is such a big upgrade over Mario Land. Both like playability, level design, graphics. It just does so much more and is way more playable than Super Mario Land. That last level is kind of bullshit though, but the rest of it's
that
great.
castle is so hard. I remember hating that as a kid.
Yeah.
I'd get into the castle and be like, well, here we go. Get ready to fail again.
Checkpoints. Add some checkpoints.
Yes.
No, really strong pick. I like that one. Where are you going to go with your last pick?
Crud. Yeah, this is where it gets a little harder, I feel like. And I feel like I just need something that's seriously.
You got your choice.
I know. I've got so many choices that are also great. Let's go with the new Super Mario Bros. On the Wii. And like, I don't have a ton on this one, but after a string of kind of 3D for the consoles, it was nice to see them show that they could come back to the 2D on the console and do something full. Like, nothing against the Galaxy games or any of the 3Ds that were kind of before it, but we had, besides new Super Mario Bros, like we hadn't really seen them go back to this formula. And I have no complaints for the fact that they did it that way.
Yeah, it was nice to have it on an actual console. Any thoughts on new Super Mario Brothers Wii from anyone? One of the most vanilla games ever.
I mean, going back to what I said about they're vanilla. They don't break ground like the old 2D Mario games did when they successively came out. But the level design was still tight. The game still controlled well. It's just a good game. It's just it just doesn't have that it doesn't have that staying power. That the older games did. But it's a good
game. But for where you got the pickup of the Wii one, I think it's good.
100%.
Yeah. Like I look at the titles that are left and I'm like, they're fine, but like all of the Super Mario games that are left, the 5 of them that are all in that vein, is one that much better than the other. And then we've got the 4 Paper Marios, and I'm not adding another RPG.
Sure.
And Super Mario Land, I'm not doing that after what I said about 2.
Sure. All right, Shareen, last pick.
I think I'm going to go with 3D Land.
Honestly, Jesse, you should have taken that in 19th spot, but that's all I'm going to say. Until Shareen gets a chance to say his piece.
Yeah, I don't have much on this game other than I'm pretty sure this was. Remind me, this was basically with like the launch of the 3DS. Like it was right. Like this was like one of the earlier games.
So long ago that I don't remember. But this is a
It felt like
really
That
fun
sounds
game.
right. That sounds right. Like it's one of their games that kind of showed off the 3D gimmick of the system.
Yeah, I think out of all the games left, and with what I've drafted, I'll say that I think Alaszun has a good lineup with his selection. You know, being at the end of the draft, you know, it was a little bit harder. But to round out my picks, I feel, you know, with the RPG and Galaxy, I think 3D Land was probably in the handheld space one of the best options left out there, and that's pretty much what I have to say on it.
It's really fun and it's very replayable. I'm a big fan of that game. I think for me, I just the new Soup just never really connected with those games, and I find the replayability lacking. And I feel like with the games that I've picked, they're all super replayable. And the last game that I'm going to pick, I feel like also is the most replayable of the new Soups, and that's number 2, New Super Mario Bros. 2. It's a super gimmicky, but with all of the gold coins, and maybe it's just the shinies. I'm just drawn to the shinies, but the fact that there's just like gold everywhere, I don't know. There's something fun about just collecting everything, and you couldn't do anything with the coins or whatever. But I don't know. I found it really fun. The portability is also really nice, and I just find it to be the most replayable of the new Soup games. For sure.
Here, there were 27 games in this draft, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations, taking the 24th best.
I like this game.
I can't disagree on that one.
I found it to be personally the worst of the new Soups by an extremely significant margin.
I mean, I think you and I see games pretty differently in the way that we've drafted. I do not like the new Soups, so it's easy for me to not really care for any of those. And obviously, you picked Yoshi's Island, and I've said my piece about that. So I think you and I are just kind of on the opposite ends on what we enjoy. But yeah,
my issue with 2, when I went back and replayed it maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and this was like me trying to replay it after playing it when it first came out and being like, maybe it's a better game than I remember, is it is bloated with auto scrollers. And it's just bloated with tons of openness to try to highlight the weird gold flower mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like they had ideas on what they wanted to do with a cool coin rush and weird online thing, and just kind of fell flat on the vision. Now I will say this kind of goes back to what I had said for back in my 216 episode about a Zelda game. I really don't think other than some of those Paper Mario games that are still up there, I don't think there's really a bad Mario game, but I find this one to be at the bottom of the list personally. But I think it going where it did and rounding out your lineup is pretty good, but I'm just shocked at taking that over New Super Mario Brothers 1.
Yeah, I just didn't like New Super Mario Brothers 1 when I first played it. Yeah. Kaesden, finish us off.
I'm just going to echo what ninjembro was just saying, and I'm taking New Soup 1.
All right.
I just think it's the better game. It came out at the right time. It's the first time they started redoing the original style 2D games after all the 3D games had kind of come out and done their thing. I remember playing it and enjoying it from start to finish. I remember getting New Super Mario Bros. 2, hoping to kind of recapture that on the 3DS, and it just didn't hit the same. So I feel like I kind of got a steal here getting the original.
Sure. Hard
maybe
disagree.
This is me, and I think Fear kind of said something similar to it, so it's probably not just me in this case. But I just felt so uninspired by this entire series.
Yeah. So
Like,
did I.
I
it
kind of
just
get
felt like
that.
as a series that it just had no heart.
Yes.
I kind of get that, but I think the original kind of gets a pass on that because it was the first one, and then after they started redoing it 3 or 4 times, then it's kind of like, all right, is this even a different game or is this a port or a remake? Like I couldn't even tell you with some of the later ones if they're ports or remakes.
Yeah, they're good. Like they have good level design. Like I've been saying this whole time, it's like good level design, and just otherwise they just don't have the heart that the old Mario games did. Like they don't have the originality and stuff.
I don't think any of them belong in like a round 1 or round 2 pick. Like I think we would all agree there, but I think they're decent, solid games. They're just
Sure.
They're not the most remarkable. They didn't break any new ground. They're good games.
I think it says
they
something.
They all went rounds 3 and 4.
Yeah, they didn't go until round 3. I think says a lot. Alaszun, you got one more pick?
All right. So I'm just going to say this. Like, I've had at least one person whisper me, advising me I should just skip my pick because what's the point at this point? And honestly, what we're dealing with is kind of the dregs. But I suspect you would prefer me to actually make the pick.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I'm actually going to take Bowser's Fury here.
Great choice.
Like Bowser's Fury is really, really short. It's not much of a game.
It's fun. It's
but
really
it's
fun.
also fun and cool.
Yeah.
And it tried to do things. And in the second to last pick of the draft, like I'm taking that over the most digestible potato chip of a game. Because like that's what the fucking new soup games are. They're potato chips. You're sitting there and you're just kind of munching familiarly as you sit on the couch and slowly hate yourself.
In defense of New Soup 1 being on the DS as a portable system, I think that makes it a good spot for that type of game.
I mean that doesn't make it bad or anything. It's just really uninspiring to me. And so of all of these ones, the closest that came to inspiring me was this.
I like it. It's good pick. A second to last pick.
Yeah, it was a great game. Like I said earlier, it feels like 20% of a game. So it's hard to take it because it's just not a full game. But like it was very fun. There were parts of it that felt a little frustrating, but like it was great for the like 6 or 7 hours that it lasted.
Yeah.
Which honestly, 6 or 7 hours for like an add-on to Super Mario 3D World when like Super Mario Brothers 1 is like a 1 hour game.
Yeah.
Is kind of nuts.
Yeah. It's really cool. I like that pick. Ninjembro, you're last up. What do you got? You got trash left.
So Sticker Star gone. Game is trash.
Correct.
Yeah, it's bad. Like biggest buyer's remorse I've probably had in my life. Color Splash, didn't even buy it. Also bad because from what I heard, it was just Sticker Star, but slightly better. And slightly better than Sticker Star is still like a 2 out of 10. All right. Origami King, didn't play it. It looked a little bit better, but again, it just like give us RPGs. Like, please. So that leaves 2 options. There's Super Mario Land, really good game, short, but for its time, did some great things.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Super Paper Mario, which is like it's in that weird in-between space between the Paper Mario games that were like really good and the Paper Mario games that are really, really bad. And it occupies a space where like it was charming. And it was actually like kind of fun, but it felt like it was having a little bit of an identity crisis for where the series was going. But that said, I am going to take Super Paper Mario because I actually think it's a pretty good game. It's just, it's not what you wanted after playing Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door. And I feel like it started to pave the way to like the trash that came after it in the Paper Mario series. But I honestly don't think it was a bad game. Like, it still had a lot of like the really, really like charming writing that the first 2 Paper Mario games had. It still had like original, interesting characters instead of like 17,000 toads that didn't have personality. It was just a weird like platformer RPG hybrid with like a weird, like I only played it once and it was when it first came out. So like, I'm not remembering a lot about it, but I remember finding it a little pretty enjoyable, even though it wasn't what I wanted after Thousand Year Door. So I think taking at 24th with what's left is a completely reasonable pick. And, clearly had Super Mario Brothers Wonder not been allowed to be taken, like there's a real chance that I'm ending up with Super Mario Land here. But there's still also a chance that I'm ending with Super Paper Mario here. And with either of those, I'm not entirely upset.
Super Mario Land's a really good game.
It is.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Why is the Super Paper Mario why better than Toads?
Because at least it's not just like 70 like Toads that are like all red capped and have like you don't know Toad 1 from Toad 2. At least the polygons were like different polygons. They're only a slight step up. I will give you that.
Even your partners are just random shapes.
Oh boy,
you're not wrong. But I also think like this I do agree. But I also think like compared to the other three Paper Mario games that came after it, it still is just a better game. It's just not Thousand Year Door or Paper Mario. But when I played through it, like there was nothing about it that I was just like, this is a bad game. Like it's why I bought Sticker Star, because like Super Paper Mario like was still fun. I enjoyed it. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it wasn't a bad game. And then I bought Sticker Star and I was like, wow, this is so bad that I'm never buying another Paper Mario game again.
It's also the last pick too, right?
Unless it somehow reviews at like an 8 or 9 out of 10, then I will buy it. But Sticker Star basically was the first party, like mainline Nintendo game of like one of their flagship franchises that caused me to say, I am never buying another game in this line of the Nintendo lineup, like blindly ever again. Like I every like Pikmin game, every Mario game, every Zelda game, like I pre-order, pay off, and like buy like without even thinking. The Paper Mario games, I do not do that. And I have not bought one since Sticker Star because the reviews come out and it's just always, it's just the same bad shit.
Yeah. It's the last pick. Like something's got to go last, right?
And great last pick. Like,
yeah.
I'm not upset with it.
All right. Shareen had to bail, so he's not going to be able to wrap up his picks. Let's start with Jesse. You've got Super Mario RPG. You've got Super Mario Brothers 1. You've got Super Mario Land 2. And you have new Super Mario Brothers Wii. Tell me what you think of your lineup. And if you couldn't vote for yourself, who would you vote for?
Okay, so my lineup. I'll start there, I guess. I went with classics. Like, I think, as much as I know people love their Paper Marios, it starts with Super Mario RPG. The series itself starts with Super Mario. I think Mario has always been a portable, so that's why I picked that. And, the return to consoles. I'm more of a classic Mario player in that sense, but I wish I could have gotten a 3D game, but just the opportunity didn't really present itself.
Sure. Well, with you could have. You could have.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't have a lot of attachment to Galaxy.
Sure.
To be honest,
sure.
That was about the time I kind of drifted on the series a bit before coming back. So like those were definitely a couple of games that I really missed out on. But no, I will take my classics and be happy with it. If I had to go a different direction and pick somebody else, I might have to go Alaszun's.
All right.
World is always just so hard to compete with for me. And like, that's the hard part is like, I look at those first 5 and at least 4 of them, I think I could have seen myself taking as well. So I get it. But World and 64, so like Kaesden's the other one, as lead off for the 2 of them is like, damn.
Yeah. Super strong picks. All right, Shareen has Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 2 Lost Levels, and Super Mario 3D Land. Did have to bail, so you won't be able to talk about his, but obviously he would have picked mine if he was going to pick. I've got Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Sunshine, and New Super Mario Brothers 2. This is a weird spot to be in. Like, I feel like I probably would have gone with Alaszun picking World first if I could, but 3 is still my favorite. It just have so much nostalgia for it. And a Galaxy was picked right before I wanted to pick it there, but I really do enjoy 3D World, and I think it's the best multiplayer Mario game that we've got, and that says a lot. Sunshine, people really like it, and I mentioned about the new Super 2, it's my last pick. So I like my lineup. I think it's a solid B+. I would go with Alaszun as well. Super Mario World is just a strong, probably the strongest Mario game that we've got. Kaesden, you drafted Super Mario 64, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Super Mario Brothers 2, and a new Super Mario Brothers. Tell me about your lineup. And if you couldn't pick yourself, who would you pick?
I'm still kind of shocked that I was able to get Mario 64 as a number 3 pick. I think that's one of the most influential games ever made, let alone Mario games. I think if I could have gotten Mario World over it, I would. I very much like that pick. I think it's my favorite game in the series, but I think getting Mario 64 where I did was great. I said when I picked Wonder, it's a gamble. None of us know how that game's going to turn out. I think it looks good. I think it looks to have a lot of new features coming out. As long as they don't riddle it with other player notes, like was mentioned, I think it has potential to be a really good game. Mario 2 in round 3 to get a classic game. I stand behind that pick. I think that's a solid pick. And New Soup for a mobile game to kind of round out the collection. I think those 4 games are just, it's a solid set of 4 games. I would have liked to have gotten one of the RPGs. The only 2 though that I really knew where to place is Thousand Year Door and Mario RPG. I was going to take Paper Mario, but that was taken right before, so I just jumped to Mario 2, and I think it's still a good pick. So
yeah.
As far as who I would pick if I couldn't vote for myself, I think I'm going to say that I would vote for you, Fear, because I think everyone else is probably going to vote for Alaszun if they don't vote for themselves, and Mario 3 is a great game. So I'll just mix it up there.
Nice. Agree with Shareen. I like it. Alaszun, you got Super Mario World, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Paper Mario, and Bowser's Fury. Tell me about your lineup, and if you can't pick for yourself, which you can't, who you choose?
I'd like to thank everybody so far for making all of my arguments for my team, so I can basically just zero AFK. I think Super Mario World is just almost a more iconic game than Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario Brothers 3. You're like Super Mario Brothers is the original, and yet somehow World is still almost more iconic. You bring in Yoshi for the first time. You bring in all sorts of things, and it's aged so well. I think my lineup just fucking rules. All of these games are really, really cool. The worst thing you can say about any of my games is that Bowser's Fury is short.
Yeah.
We could say about your games is your last one is half a game.
That's true. But I said I would win even if I said I would win even if I skipped my last pick. And so I took 20% of a pick. But I'm a big believer in quality over quantity on stuff like this. And so especially in that round, getting something that was just really good and innovative and new and different felt really, really good for me. But more than anything, I'm shocked that Paper Mario fell as long to me as it did, because it's just such a cool game. And I think Thousand Year Door is better than it, but it's just such a fun, phenomenal little game. It's got a great sense of humor. It's a fun RPG combat system with enough interactivity so that it's not like you're just doing Final Fantasy random battle Yeah. If I had to pick someone whose isn't mine, I would change my name and pick mine. But assuming that's not allowed, I think I actually would pick Shareen's. I love the Galaxy series. I think it's phenomenal. And I think Thousand Year Door is just one of those things that's just completely different in terms of what it has. And so getting a game just like that's just like top end class in its own genre was hard to do at his point. And I think Lost Levels is really good. It's just fucking unfair as shit.
Yeah.
And 3D Land is a game.
Wow. All right. Yeah. It's a good game. I like that game. All right, Ninjembro, you've got Mario Odyssey with the first overall pick. You got Yoshi's Island, New Super Mario Bros. U, and Super Paper Mario. Tell me about your games and who you'd pick.
All right. So to my games, Odyssey first was clearly a little bit controversial, but I don't think was a terrible first pick. I stand by it. Yoshi's Island and Mario U were a duo pick with I felt like they were just a very strong side-by-side pick at the time in the draft with what was still left available. I really like both of those games. I think they're very solid. I had a heavy hitter 3D game, and I needed some strong 2D games for the lineup, and I felt like I got that in just a strong 2D Mario platformer, and then also a fan favorite in Yoshi's Island, which I also think is a strong 2D Mario game. But it's definitely more of a fan favorite than New Super Mario U. And then again, I talked about it fairly recently, so I'm not going to harp on it too much, but Super Paper Mario, last overall pick, not a lot of good options, not a lot of great options left, but I think is a fairly strong 24th pick that was available to round out my lineup. Honestly, if it came down to that and Bowser's Fury being available 24th, I'd still probably pick it just to round out the lineup a little bit more, because I think Bowser's Fury would collide with Odyssey a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So I think Super Paper Mario was a really good pickup in the last spot. So I'm feeling really good about mine. And also looking at a few of these drafts, I realized that order in this one possibly mattered more than it did in the Zelda one. It's kind of insane. And if I were to choose somebody other than myself to win this, obviously the common answer here is Alaszun, right? You got Super Mario World, you got Galaxy 2, which I was hoping to be able to take 12th. You got Paper Mario, which is just a super solid RPG. Bowser's Fury is kind of a super weak link in that one, but it's still a very, very solid game. There's also, looking at the other lineups here, you do have to shout out Shareen's Thousand Year Door. Again, super solid RPG. You got Mario Galaxy, so you have a super solid 3D game. You have Lost Levels and 3D Land, so you have a couple good rounders. I feel like Shareen lacks a little bit in the 2D department, because let's face it, 3D Land is kind of that weird 2D 3D hybrid. It's definitely a 3D game. It just plays like the old 2D games in terms of it just being level based. But I feel like we're definitely tipping the scales here, because just internally we're all pretty much voting for Alaszun, and obviously I want to win this and think that
Sure.
and I feel like I have a contender of a team, but me voting for Alaszun is tipping that. But I do think, other than my own, which I do strongly believe in, I think Alaszun has the second best lineup here.
Yeah. Obviously you're going to vote for yourself because you believe in your lineup, but the whole point is to not vote for yourself because,
well, honestly, and no shade at you personally, Jesse, but if I had your lineup, I would not vote for myself.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
I am leaning hard into nostalgia. I believe in people.
You definitely are, my man.
And that's the thing. It's it's hard because I think out of the RPGs, I think I got the best one. You can take any other. I'll take mine any day of the week. So you like, but Mario is generally seen as a platformer. And not that any of mine are bad platformers, but like I can find, I understand it. Like there are examples of better platformers.
Sure.
You definitely had 6th in this draft lineup, like with what games were available, how many people there were, how many rounds there were. I will concede, like you had like the short end of the stick by like a significant margin.
And that's the thing, like I could have seen, like I know we shit on Sunshine so hard a lot, and like that's such an unfortunate spot for it, but like that would have been one of my picks. Like, and I know Fear, you know, you got it.
I'm happy to have it in the third round. Yeah,
but that's the thing, you and Shareen both said you would have taken it, and I was in the same boat. Like I look at that game and I'm like, it's still really great. So but that was the thing, it was like at the time I was like, I'm not taking Sunshine with one of my first 2 picks, like, but then I know there's 10 picks again before I get to go.
Yeah, it's
like
tough.
I'm at the ends of rounds and it's just like, ugh.
It's definitely tough. Yeah, order does mean a lot, and it is random, and that's what we all do, right? Luck of the draw.
Randomly rigged.
So my random luck and other types of randoms could be better. Good.
Yes, for sure. All right. Well, we'll have a vote up in the announcements channel. We'll leave that open for about 2 weeks. Hopefully we get a couple more votes and not end in a tie. I think this one might be a little bit tougher because nostalgia for certain games, right? Like I can see people voting for Jesse because of the strength of his first pick. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I want to thank you all for coming on the show. Jesse, Shareen, Kaesden, Alaszun, appreciate you guys all taking the time to do this, especially on short notice. And I hope you all had a good time.
I had a blast.
Yeah, this was super fun.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
All right, that's going to do it. Check out the vote in the announcements channel when this comes out. And we'll see you all next time for Sabotender. Sabotender is going to be the next episode. Check that one out.